What's up, guys? This is Cory, and you're watching Breakdowns and Body Bags. So today we're doing something a little different. I'm going to be reviewing the Elvis Presley 1968 comeback special. So a couple months ago, I had a conversation with my father, who's a big fan of the channel. He really likes the videos, and he asked if I would watch and review the Elvis Presley 1968 comeback special. To which I said, no, this is a channel that reviews horror movies and metal music, and Elvis is neither of those things. And my father's response was, so what? So here we are. I decided to save this video for the week of Father's Day as a Father's Day gift to my dad. So, here you go, Pop. I'm going to be talking about Elvis for you. Hope you enjoy it. So Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, was on top of the world for a very long time. He was the king of rock and roll. He made a ton of movies. I think he made like 30-some movies or something like that in his career, which is kind of crazy. One of the most successful artists of all time, making a ton of money, unbelievably popular and famous. And then his career sort of starts to take a little turn. I don't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but around 1968, he was starting to, his movies weren't as good. They were getting a little more lambasted by the critics. I don't even know what he was doing musically, if anything. But regardless, his career was kind of on the downhill. And so he decided in 1968 to do a comeback special. To make himself relevant again. He's going to play in front of a live audience. They're going to broadcast it on television, and they're going to try to sort of, revitalize his career. Now, I knew about that going into this. What I did not know was the age of Elvis Presley. Because here's the thing. For me, when I think career's going downhill, now he's doing some sort of comeback special, I'm imagining that artist is a little bit older, right? Maybe 40s, 50s, something like that. Becoming a little irrelevant as new music comes out, and that's why they're doing the comeback special. But no, Elvis was 33 when he did this. He was only 33 years old. I'm older than he was right now when he did it, which is bizarre to me. I'm not exactly sure, but I think one of the things that might have been a contributing factor to his career dwindling a little bit was the emergence of newer rock bands that were doing newer things, such as the Beatles. The Beatles were very big at this time. Elvis was a little more old school, rhythm and blues, that kind of rock and roll. And then the Beatles come out, and they're sort of this new wave of rock and roll. It's a little different, a little new, a little hip. And while Elvis was a proclaimed fan of the Beatles, maybe that's why his career was dwindling. Now, something to know, I did grow up listening to Elvis a lot. My father, obviously, is a die-hard Elvis fan. My grandmother was a hardcore Elvis fan. In fact, she had an Elvis room in her house at one point. Like, when you come into my house, we have a designated room for certain nerdy things. For example, my wife is a big fan of Xena Warrior Princess, so we have a Xena room where we live. My grandmother had an Elvis room, and it was just full of Elvis memorabilia, albums. She had like china plates with his face on them. She had a bunch of his stamps when that was a big thing. Now, with that being said, right off the bat, I'm going to get off my chest the one negative that I had for the 68 comeback special, which is that I was bored for a lot of it. And really the only reason I was bored is because I'm not a huge fan of the music. There were a couple songs that I am a big fan of, and those were a lot of fun. But when he was performing songs that I didn't really care for all that much, I was a little bit bored. It would be like if you went to a concert, if you went to a live show for a band that you didn't know or didn't really like all that much, you'd probably be kind of bored, right? I'm not a monster, am I? The first thing that really surprised me about the comeback special was that Elvis appeared to be playing guitar. And I actually never knew if he played guitar or not. In fact, at one point in the special, it looks like he's trying to play guitar, or I should say pretending to play guitar. And I was like, he's not really playing guitar, is he? This is fake. So I actually paused the special and looked it up online. Elvis actually could play guitar. So yeah, he was a competent guitarist. The other big thing that I was a fan of with this movie, I guess you'd call it, was Elvis's playfulness. he was very ad-libby. Like there were times during the special where he would just crack jokes or stop doing the music entirely to talk to a bandmate or to talk to the audience, or like you could tell that he was taking it seriously, but he wasn't taking it too seriously to the point that he wasn't having fun. He was having a lot of fun with this. I can't imagine what he was going through during this special though, because for pretty much the entire special, he is head to toe in a black leather outfit. Black leather pants, black leather top, the whole thing. And the second I saw it, I was like, dude, you've got to be so hot. Like, that has to be the hottest outfit ever. And yeah, by the end of the special, he is just dripping sweat. It's gross. One other thing that I found weird, I guess it shouldn't really make me feel weird because this has been a thing for decades, but Elvis is on this stage, and the stage is actually surrounded by fans. Most of the fans are women, and it was just so strange to watch these women just ogle this guy. Is that a word? Ogle? That's a word, isn't it? And so beyond infatuated with him. And it reminds me of when you see footage of fans screaming at the Beatles and the women are crying and fainting. Or we even had it, in the 90s with the boy bands, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and stuff like that. We had it then. But at the end of the day, this is a concert, right? This is a live performance, so that's what we're here for. And I gotta say, Elvis, man, he's crazy talented. You have bands that make studio albums and then they tour for those albums and they play live, right? And a lot of times there's a difference between the live performance and the album recording, because when you're recording the album, you have all of the production elements in the studio and things like that, whereas when you're live, man. You don't got a whole lot to help you out, so there's usually a sound difference there. Certain bands are worse than others, like their albums sound great and live they sound terrible, and some bands are great where the album is great and their live performance is pretty spot on. And Elvis is one of them. I knew almost every song, but every single song he sang sounded like the master recording. It was really, really great. His voice is crazy good, and it's got a lot of range. And one thing I didn't really know about Elvis was his ability to scream, which makes sense on a metal channel. He has songs like Love Me Tender or Can't Help Falling in Love with You. Songs like that, he sings with his normal voice, I guess you would say. But then he has songs like Hound Dog or Jailhouse Rock, where he is screaming. I mean, he is screaming. And he had certain songs during the special, I don't remember which ones they were by name, but there were songs during the special where his voice would change. Some of the verses he would, sing normally, and then he would just belt out and scream the next verse. And no matter how he did it, no matter if it was his, I guess you would say his scream versus his clean vocals, no matter what he did, his voice was good. Every time. It was really awesome to watch. The band that he was with was great. His rapport with them was great. One thing that was strange, though, was the concert was interspliced with things that were clearly filmed in advance. So the concert stuff was all him in the black leather on that stage surrounded by the fans. But then every now and then it would cut over to something that was clearly filmed beforehand. And they're just like editing it into the video, which I wasn't expecting. And the first time they did it, I should say the first time I noticed it, Elvis was on stage, he had just gotten done playing a song, and he started talking to the audience and to the band about newer music that was coming out. He mentioned the Beatles and the Beards, and he talked about how he liked them. And then it just cuts to this guy. This lone guy that's not Elvis. He was a black guy. He's standing on the stage and this really weird music is playing and he's just standing there. And then after a little while, he starts dancing, like interpretive dance. And then after his little interpretive dance is done, other dancers join in, and then all of a sudden Elvis is in the background and he starts singing a song. For that first beginning part where it's just that one guy dancing, I was like, what is happening here? What is this? It was so weird. But they ended up doing it a few times throughout the special, so you kind of got used to it. And, I'm not going to lie, the guy's dancing skills were great. In fact, all of the dancers for all of those numbers were really good. Like, you could tell they pumped a lot of time and effort and money into this special. You can really see it. Everything really comes across on screen. It's very well produced, very well done. My favorite part of the special by far was the end, the final song he sang. It's one of my favorite Elvis songs, it always has been. It's called If I Can Dream. It's got a great message. It's all about unity, brotherhood, loving your fellow man, regardless of where they come from, all of that jazz. And, you know, the special is an hour and 13 minutes long. So you've had about an hour and 10 minutes of Elvis singing the hits, you know, Love Me Tender and Jailhouse Rock and Guitar Man and Tiger Man, stuff like that. That guy from that documentary last year, Tiger King, who cares? You know, he's either on stage with a bunch of dancers or he's on stage with his band surrounded by the audience. But for this last performance, it's just him. It's just him on stage with a giant Elvis sign behind him. He's wearing this white suit, and he just wails this song about brotherhood and unity. And it's a really good song, and it's a really good performance. And then, you know, when the song ends, you got some chills on you. The song ends, and then he just says, "Thank you, good night," and that was it. That's the end. Curtains, and you're done. I ended up looking that song up a little bit too. I saw something on YouTube where somebody talked about how when Elvis first recorded the song "If I Can Dream," he ended up like falling to the floor in the studio. The guy recalls that he looked into the room that Elvis was in singing, and he was laying on the floor in like a fetal position singing this song. So I don't know if like the song just like really hit him hard and he just dropped, because, you know, music can do that. But I thought that was a really cool story. So yeah, the 68 comeback special was pretty solid. Again, I was bored for a good portion of it, but that's just because I'm not a huge fan. Now, if I was a huge Elvis fan, yeah, this special would have blown my mind. It would have blown me away, even now in 2021. Because again, he's incredibly talented. It shows. You know, his talent just radiates off the screen. You know, the pacing of the special was good. The format was good. The song choices were good. His stage presence, his ability to ad-lib and sort of crack jokes and just make everybody feel at ease was great. You know, but most importantly, since it is a live performance, the performance has to be good. And it was. I mean, he was really bringing his A game here. Probably because it was a comeback, but still, yeah, I can see myself really, really enjoying this if I was a diehard Elvis fan. As a very, very, very casual Elvis fan, I still appreciate it, absolutely. I can still acknowledge how important it is and how great it is. And it was great for the most part. You know, it's just a little boring to me at times, that's all. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's my review for the Elvis Presley 1968 comeback special. That one's for you, Dad. Happy Father's Day. If you haven't seen it, it's actually on Amazon. I rented it for like $4 or something like that. So you can rent it if you want to watch it. You know, again, if you have anybody in your family that's a big Elvis fan, or if you are a big Elvis fan, absolutely pay the $4 and watch it. It's a lot of fun. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. We really do appreciate it. And other than that, I'll see you next week.